What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TW Motorsports, and today doing a little bit of work on the Sierra pickup. But before we get started, guys, go check out twamotorsports.com. I know I say this in the front of every video now, but we got shirts, hats, key tags, stickers, you name it, we've got it. Let's see what we need to do to this thing today. So obviously it's been raining. This thing gets daily driven, guys, but the windows are now tinted. We went actually 50% over the entire front windshield. We now have 5% on the sides, and then we went over the back with 5. As a matter of fact, let's close it up and take a look at it with it all tinted. You guys can get an idea what it looks like. So it's pretty dark. You know, it's not quite as dark as my green truck because I didn't want to go 35% on the entire windshield, but definitely looks better. But anyway, we're continuing little fixes, right? You know, we're just gradually working our way through this. And if you'll notice that we've got some stuff off the door panel. I try to make it as easy on my tent guy as I possibly can. And so, guys, I left, you know, the stuff that made access a little harder for him. I left all those panels off. So in today's video, what we're going to tackle is we're going to, and you can see the old gauges right there. Those two boxes are housing new pieces here. So these guys here, guys, it's pretty common for the lock actuators to go bad. And so at this point, I've replaced all the lock mechanisms, like the switch itself. So we're down to, it's got to be a lock actuator, which is very, very common for this to fail. So today we're gonna replace those, got those sitting there, and then I've got 2 key fobs that if we are successful, and this indeed does fix our problem, then we are going to put keyless entry on this thing. So it had it before. If you look in your glove box, guys, there's several different codes. I don't even recall. It starts with an A. I think it's AXO that allows you to add factory keyless entry. Generally, vehicles with the TPMS sensors, that runs through the same channel. So if you have that, generally you have the ability to add keyless entry. This one does not have the ability, though, to add remote start. So some of them have that and they just don't add that feature, and you can activate that just by getting the key fob with the remote start, but this is not one of them, unfortunately, probably because it's a 6-cylinder truck. But either way, let's get this door panel off and see what's involved in getting our new lock mechanism in. We're gonna need a couple things, guys. If you haven't taken this off, you're gonna obviously need this. You're gonna need a little flathead screwdriver to get this guy out. You're gonna need 10 millimeters. Most of the panels that I pulled off, you can just get with a small pick or a plastic screwdriver, but these are all 10 millimeters to get this stuff out of the way, and we'll get the door panel off. The other thing I did is I left the sweeps out because I'm gonna clean those, but then that just made life easier for him as far as, like, you know, tinting the windows. So let's run out all these 10 millimeters. Doesn't hurt to have a magnet, which I have, to reach in here and get these ones out. Just makes your life a little easier. But then once we get that out, these two here, then we need to pop this switch up. And I didn't plug in the lock because, well, oh, and he plugged it back in, which is, that's fine. So we got that. We'll get this one unplugged. But then we need to work our way around the panel. And sometimes it's easier to start up here in a corner and work our way around popping out these clips. Should be relatively simple since we have, you know, not much on here. But now that we got that loose, I need to get a pair of needle nose pliers, and we have to unhook the actual door latch here on the inside. I don't think my fingers are small enough, and they're not, to get that loose. We've got to get that cable that runs to the handle. It's kind of an odd deal. I'll show you guys, and you saw it in a prior video, but I'm probably gonna pull these guys out too. We got this guy loose. What you're doing is you're pushing these 2 plastic clips together, right? And then that releases it out of the holder, and then you can pull the little ball out. But I don't know how many times, guys, that I've done that and forgot to hook it up when I put the door panel back on. But here's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to get this guy out of the way. no way around it. It has to be done, so we might as well do it. I didn't want to tear it down there like I just did. It's okay though. Get this out of the way because we need access. We probably have enough access at this point to where we need to be. We're gonna have to be in this area right here. So I'm gonna try to take you off the tripod. We're gonna have to get a couple things. For one, you see these guys right here are Torx. So we're gonna have to get those, but before we do that, we're gonna have to unhook the door rod. Now on this one, there should only be, I think there's just the door rod. I don't think there's anything else. We'll have to check. There may be a lock rod coming from the inside, but you're gonna need a couple things, like a small pick would help, and I'm gonna grab the new one out of the box so you can kind of see what we're dealing with. That way, if you can't see up in here, you'll kind of get a general idea what we're trying to mess with here. I'm also gonna pop these guys out just to give me a little more light access, really is the only reason I'm doing that. So let me go grab the pick, a small flat blade, and a light. So this is what we're gonna be replacing. I chose to go with new GM ones just because I know they work and they last the longest. So you can pick these up on Amazon. I'll list them in the description if you wanna try the cheap route. But guys, here's what we need to unhook, right? We've got this, which this is this guy. Have that out of the way. But you'll also notice there's an electronic plug up top, which you can reach up in here and get. I'm not gonna be able to show you guys like a close-up here, but there is a little tab on it that you push and get it unplugged. And then you can see we have a couple lock rod connections. So like this one is actually for the door handle. So if you'll notice, it's moving the same lever that the door handle would, but that's the rod that comes from the outside. On this one, you shouldn't have a lock because there's not an exterior lock. So I think that's the only one that we have to pop loose is that one. So we're gonna give it a shot. I've got a small flat blade screwdriver to reach in there and pop it loose. So hopefully we can get that accomplished, and then we'll worry about getting our Torx out. There's actually another rod. I didn't even think about this. It's kind of dumb that I didn't, but this guy right here, I'm gonna pull this little gasket out, but this rod locks and unlocks it, and it's stuck in there as well. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it out with this assembly. So at this point, let's see what size Torx this is. I think it's probably a T30 or a T35. Get something that fits here. It is a T30. Most GM stuff is T30. So let's take these three Torx out. All I did was unsnap the one that goes to the outer door handle, like I was telling you. There's one, two. I'm gonna put my hand in there and try to hold it on the third one. Well, there's the third one. And they're side specific, so unfortunately, you're gonna need to get, make sure you get in the right side. I also wasn't able to get it unplugged, so what I'm hoping to do is drape it through here so I can see the plug, and now you can see that it's got a lock on it. That's probably why I couldn't get it open. I couldn't even see it. So once you get the lock unplugged, this guy should come out, at least hopefully. Holy cow, maybe it's, oh, it's held in at the same time the plug goes in. That makes sense. So now it should be released. You notice the rod on it. This is the lock rod for the inside. So there's our old one. So now all we need to do is we need to match that up with the correct one, which is right here. And we need to swap our lock rod over to the exact same position, if that makes sense. I guess I should show you guys what I'm doing here. Well, we've taken it out of here and we're swapping it over to this guy. So there's that. And then if you got the cheaper one, it generally doesn't come with the cable. You'll have to swap this over. And you may have to even swap this over. I've heard the cheaper ones, these locks where the outside door handle goes to, don't really function really well. But like I said, I'll list the GM ones in there as well if you guys want to, you know, buy a GM one. Let's see if we can get this thing back in place. While at the same time trying to plug that in. I think now that we know how it unplugs that lock, we should be able to get it into place. Oh. I'm gonna try to get the lock rod back into its spot. I got it. The rest of it we can do once we get it up in place. Now let's go ahead, grab our Torx and get those started. And I'm going to attempt to, this doesn't have a ton of movement, but it does have a little. We'll get our Torx started, all three of them. And then I'm going to loosely snug them up with the impact, but I'm going to run them the rest of the way down by hand. So now all we have to do is make sure that our opening deal is up here. I'm going to try to route it in the same manner it was before, which was through this stuff like this. I don't know how important that is. And then we're just going to swing. No, I better tighten it up first. Snug it down. All we need to do now is just put our opener rod from the outside. It's a completely different setup. Yeah, it seems like it's holding. All right, I'm gonna snug this up by hand, and then I think we're good there. We can probably put this guy back on now. That just keeps it from rattling around in your door, which would get annoying. There's that and that. And then I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna snug this outer piece up real quick by hand. Gonna unlock it. We're gonna try to shut the door and open it, making sure our outside one's hooked up. And then I'm gonna hook the switches to it. And we're gonna give it a test. So making sure it's unlocked, let's shut it. Opens fine. Okay, no issues there. Now let's hook this stuff up and see if our power lock works. It's not working. Not a good sign, guys. But I don't know if my other side is hooked up and they work in a circuit. So that one being bad over there could cause this one not to work. But as of right now, we got nothing. So let's talk about the bad news here. Ultimately, guys, when I originally started this whole process, I thought for sure the actuators were bad. It's very common for them to go bad. We replaced the switches thinking it could be a switch issue. So those are brand new switches from GM. We've got brand new actuators. Guess what? I hooked the other one up. I went ahead and took that door panel off, hooked up the switches, made sure they were all hooked up, and it still doesn't work. We still have no power door locks. So here's what else I did. And I didn't show you guys because I literally was racking my brain out here. What could possibly be the problem? And so I tested all the leads. So I tested the continuity between the plug right? So the plug that goes to the lock right here, it's got power going to it on both sides. No issues with power. It has continuity between that and the actual door on both sides. So I am stumped. You can see I've got the fuse cover off. I checked all the fuses. All the fuses are good. So guys, I have no idea what could be causing my issue unless it has something, it's something related to the body control module. So here's how this works. When you press the lock button, it sends a signal to the body control module, which is up underneath the dash, to unlock the doors on both sides. I have heard of those failing in the past. Now, everything else works. So the windows work. They are also controlled by the body control module. When you push the button to roll the window down, it rolls the window down, or it sends a signal to the body control module. The body control module then comes back to the door saying roll the window down. So I don't know. There's no other issues making me think it's a body control module issue. So let me know in the comments, guys. We're going to continue. I haven't put this one in. I'm not going to show you it. It's identical to the other side. The only difference is you do have a lock cylinder on the outside, so you have an additional rod to put in. So I'm going to do the same thing, replace the one on this side since I have them. And so they'll both be new. But let me know in the comments if you know of what could possibly be my issue here. Now that we've replaced the switches, we've tested the wires, and we've tested, obviously we're putting new ones in, and they're GM models. It's not like it's a cheapy aftermarket. Let me know if you've had this issue or what it could possibly be. But since I was hoping to fix this in this video and I'm not going to be able to, or at least I don't have the time to, I think I am going to go ahead and clean up our door panels and swap to the darker colored door panels since we've got this all apart. But let's go ahead and knock this one out, and then we'll grab the door panels and do a little cleaning on them, because they are disgusting, and hopefully get those into place. We need to put our felts back in. I need to clean those up as well. One of the things I do want to show you is the this out of the truck. Like I said, we did the same process here taking it out, but there's an additional lock rod that goes up because this has an external lock. What I did, guys, is I just pushed that out of the clip. It just pushes in a clip, so if you push it towards the outside of the truck or towards the back of the door, you can just push that clip out and remove it like this, and it makes it a little bit easier because then we can just thread it in, because they just loop in, and it'd be really hard for you to try. To me, you don't have to take the whole handle out in order to do this. This is an easier method, just pushing them out. Same thing with the lock rod that goes up to the piece that comes out of the truck on the inside for you to manually lock and unlock. So we're going to swap these over to the new one, making sure it looks just like this, and then feed the new one up into place. Same situation. Got everything installed, lined back up. I checked the door, it opens. I haven't checked the power locks, but like I said, I plugged it in already and it didn't work, so I don't foresee it working. A couple things you want to notice though before you put the door panel back on. For one, these guys right here are prone to falling, and if they do, you won't be able to cinch up the 10 millimeters that go in there. So make sure that all your holes that have these like inserts in them, make sure those are good. Sometimes you have to put them back into place. For some reason they fall. And I did clean a little bit of the door panel, but next I want to clean this up. This is the felt. And guys, look, I just got the windows tinted in this, you can see, and I don't want any kind of scratching to go on. So this piece right here, that rides up against the window when it's going up and down. So what I like to do is I like to clean the whole thing, but you can see, I don't know if you can see the dirt in the channel and stuff. We need to clean this off. I like to use, you know, some Windex or any kind of window cleaner. I don't generally like Windex because Windex has ammonia in it, but I'm using this Stoner window cleaner, and it does a really good job, and it doesn't have ammonia in it, so it's safe for tint. So we're gonna clean this off, and then we're gonna set it back up into place, and then we're gonna grab a door panel, and I'll probably kind of show you guys how I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, because it is rough. It was setting outside. We'll get it cleaned and hopefully put into place. Now that our felts are installed, this is pretty typical of what you're gonna see when you buy something from the salvage yard. You can see the back of it. It's been outside. It's disgusting. I'm going to start, like, who cleans the back of their door panel, right? Well, I do, guys. We're gonna start there. I'm gonna set you guys up. I'll try to time lapse it. I'm just gonna use some general cleaner there. I'll list it in the description down below. It's like interior cleaner from Chemical Guys. I'm gonna use that. And then, of course, once we get the outside or the inside, then we got to move to the outside. But like I said, this is pretty common for what you're going to see when you go to a wrecking yard, and it's disgusting. But we can make it look good. There is one hole down at the bottom, which I'm not in love with. once we do that, I'm going to see if we can pull some tabs off of that one. There's some good tabs on it. So we're gonna attempt to pull some good tabs off that and maybe get them swapped over. Now we've got a couple passes on the back. Let's turn this ugly thing over. Put it up on my makeshift stands here. And this is disgusting. I think we're gonna have to go back and forth. We're just gonna coat this down. It's nasty. And what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab my brush on my drill. And we're gonna give it a scrub down with this to kind of loosen up some of the big stuff. You can see, like I said, this door panel is perfect, but this will get a majority of our big stuff off. And that texture. Plan on getting dirty here, guys. Probably would be easier if it were up against the door, but I want to get, we may go over it again once it's up against the door. Looks like it's got some paint on it. Use our smaller brush on these inside pieces. They're just going to be caked with dirt and debris. And I really, guys, I'm using the same towel that I started on the back with. We will probably repeat this process a couple times, and we'll go to a new towel each time. And I made a total boneheaded decision here when I was at the salvage yard getting this. It had the switches, and I was like, oh, I don't need the switches because I've got new switches. Well, what I didn't think about is the fact that they're a different color. So we're gonna have to temporarily leave the light grays in there. And I know where I set them there. I set them to the side of where I picked this panel up. I'm just gonna have to go back out there. I need a couple other things anyway, so. Just have to go back and get them or paint these. I may do that. We'll see. And I'm gonna have to grab my vacuum because this pocket is absolutely full of like staples. I'm not sure what this guy did for a living, but obviously he used staples and a staple gun because there's a ton of staples down here in this pocket. But just one pass made a pretty substantial difference, as you can tell. I mean, it's not dried yet, but I think we'll go over it a couple more times off camera, and then we'll get some clips in it. And I think the last time we go over it, we'll put it in the truck so we've got something for it to lean up against. Now that we've got it, I went over this a couple times, and guys, look, it's gonna get dusty again because it's the back side of the door panel, but I want to see if we can remove some of these clips. Like some of them are broken or they need some love. And so between the two panels, the good one, or well, the good one, I guess they're supposed to both be good. But between that and this one, I want to make sure, like this one, let me show you if I can get it out here. See how the clip is broken? We want to make sure that the clip is good. That one's mediocre at best. But I'm hoping between the two panels that we can have enough of these to get this thing put back in place and actually lock in like it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go yank some out of the other panel. We're gonna move them over to where these bad ones are, and then we should be good to put it in place, and then we'll start cleaning again on the outside. I just barely had enough. I don't know if you noticed this, but these are blue. The ones like on the leading edge, so up by the speaker, they're blue. But then they switch over to white on the back. Now, they seem to be pretty close to the same size, so I don't know that it matters, but I tried to keep that same theme throughout here, keeping, you know, the white ones where they go and the blue ones where they go. I don't know, let's see if we can set this on there. Do not forget to hook up your inside door handle. I've done that in the past, that's why I'm telling you. And we'll get it set on there, and hopefully we can continue our cleaning process. So I don't know if you guys can tell from the lighting. Let me see if I can get a light a little closer. See how it kind of, I don't know, it just looks like it's still got dirt on it. Well, look, ultimately the first pass I actually went over was with some just soapy water. And it strips it basically strips it down and takes any kind of coating off of it. So it's gonna make it look really dry like this. Now I'm following it up with this interior cleaner / protect it from Chemical Guys. And I've got a new rag here. And so what we're going to do is on the areas down here in the bottom, we're gonna spray it on the panel. But up top, guys, don't spray this directly on your glass. It's always a good idea to, anytime you're putting any kind of coating or any kind of cleaner that could potentially damage your tent, don't spray it to where it's gonna, you know, miss the glass. That's really, really bad on the tent. And the fact that ours is brand new, we're not really supposed to wipe on it yet, but this is going to help kind of fill in those areas where it's real dry looking. And then we're gonna come back and coat it, but I'm gonna go over this probably 1 or 2 times. You can see I got the panel on, it fits great. It actually fits better than the other one because I had a series of good pins to put it on. But I'm gonna go over this entire thing, and you can also see that I've got a different color here. That sucks. But I did grab the handle, so I'm gonna clean the handle up and get it into place. And you know, that'll look a little nicer because I think the other one, yeah, it's light gray. I didn't remember if it was light gray or dark gray, but we'll get this cleaned up and put in place, and we'll continue going over it with this Chemical Guys, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm gonna use for a final treatment here. Now that we've got all the parts except, I thought I had this piece that covered the 10mm back behind the handle, but I don't. Guys, I'm going to use some of this 303. Same situation, don't get it on the glass. We're gonna spray it on here in the pocket, and we're gonna kind of work it around. We're gonna work it around both up top, you know, like I said, you don't wanna get it on the glass, but this will help kind of protect it. I just recently started using this. I kind of like it. It's a little greasy when you first put it on, but then you could come back and wipe it down and get a nice, you know, kind of sheen that you want. And I really do not want it on the window, so I'm gonna be really, really careful up here. Spray it on the rag and do the top. These chemicals will just absolutely kill window tint, I'm telling you. Once we do that, I'm gonna let this kind of set. I may go over it a couple times. We'll come back and wipe it down. I mean, we're obviously gonna have to go back and get this piece. What I may do is I may leave the one on the other side so it matches. I don't know, we'll see. I still gotta clean that other panel up, and I'll do that off camera so now that you guys know what's going on. But just know that, look, if you go get one at a salvage yard or something, there's gonna be some work involved, that's for sure. And they may not be perfect. I mean, this one's, I would call this one far from perfect, that's for sure. We'll get this wiped down, and then I guess the next thing I'll show you guys will be once I finish, I'm gonna finish the other side off camera, and I may go over this a couple times like what I'm doing here. And then I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna wipe it back down afterwards. Because I don't like that greasy look. But this stuff seems to do a fairly good job of protecting and kind of darkening up that old faded trim. This one was literally setting outside, getting rained on in the sun, so it needs some love. Let's take a look at what we got all finished up. Tried to open the garage door so you guys had some better light. Definitely a better look. I like the dark better. Cleaned up pretty good. I may go over it one more time with the 303, but guys, ultimately, I'm pretty happy. You know, the only thing I'm not happy with is you can see the scuffs on this. Pretty common. This actually looks pretty good. This is obviously the switch. You can see we've got the other color on the other side, but here's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do it in this video, and I may not even do a video when I do it. But guys, I think I'm gonna paint this. So there's a paint out there they say that matches this pretty close, almost dead on. And it's actually made by Duplicolor, not an SEM color, which is kind of odd. But I'm thinking I'm gonna paint this. I'm gonna paint this entire piece. It just depends on if it's still available when I go out there. But here's the other problem. There's a bunch of scratches in the silver here. Obviously there's scratches here. I would love to paint it all the same color. This is one piece. So you're gonna have to tape this off in order to paint it either side. So to me, that would be kind of a pain. It'd be kind of cool if we could just paint it all black, right? So we could just maybe clean this up, make sure there's no divots in it or anything, take the switches out and then spray it, and probably do this at the same time so the door panel is completely black. But I will tell you that I like the look of this a lot better than the light gray. I mean, nothing against the light gray, it's just, it gets dirty easier. And to me, the interior just looks better in black. So we've obviously got the dash to go. We're gonna have to do that. Guys, I did not get any of the dash pieces because they were all beat up on the other truck. But a couple things that, just looking forward down the road, when we paint this, I have all the top dash pieces. Got the pieces for the side. Obviously, this is part of the top. We're probably gonna have to paint the lower. I did get a glove box that's good, that has a good handle. My handle is bad. But I'm gonna have to paint, unless I can find an airbag, I'm gonna have to paint the airbag. So I may just knock all that out at one time. But like I said, that's for a future video. But either way, let me know what you think about this. Does it look better? Do you think it looks a little nicer? Like I said, I think it does. And most importantly, guys, let me know if you have any earthly idea what could be causing my power locks not to work. We've checked all the fuses. I've also been reading the relay. There's a relay welded in. It's actually soldered in to this board back here. So the relay's on the back side for the lock and the unlock feature. But there's 3 separate relays. I believe 2 for unlock and 1 for lock. I don't remember, but there's 3 relays for the locks, and I'm not getting any relay clicking, so I don't necessarily know that it's that, but maybe it could be. People have had to replace that in the past, guys, but I have no functionality and never have on this truck, so I don't know. It just seems like a wiring issue or something. But either way, let me know. Not always do we get to solve things, but at least we got the better looking door panels on there. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring the bell notification that notifies you every time we drop a new video, and stay tuned to see what we work on next.